Hello and welcome to episode 13 of Diggs Sideline Podcast. As always, I am your host, Sam DeCosmo, and along with me is...
Patrick Alonia.
All right. Week 7, Vikings have Detroit Lions, and this is in Detroit?
Correct.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a look back at the Week 6 game where the Lions fell to the Packers. And, Pat, I don't think that it was their fault. I think that they played a pretty good game.
I have been a little more irate this week than I usually am. I was furious after that game.
I was fuming.
And listen, there's one thing that I usually am feeling like this after a Packer win, and the refs kind of give them a couple. Yeah. But holy frick,
it was bad. Everybody's been talking about it all week, so we can talk about it.
That's what I want to talk about. I'm glad you said everybody, because I've been targeted as saying, "Oh, classic Viking fans." No. This is everybody in the NFL. So to all you Packer fans, I'm going to look right at you right now, who I spoke with. This isn't just me. This isn't just Vikings Queens. Okay? This is the whole NFL.
The entire NFL. I can send you video after video. Barry Sanders was talking about
everybody.
It. Everybody. And granted, he was a former Lion, but Pat
the Pope was talking about it.
He did tweet this week. He was accidentally hashtag Saints because he was like inducting some people into Sainthood, and then accidentally tagged like the New Orleans Saints.
Did he really?
Yeah, it was really
That's
funny.
Hilarious.
So let's talk about how the Packers won this Week 6 game.
Yeah.
So something felt off from the beginning. So at the very first drive of the game, it was like first and second drive of the Lions. They marched down and they got a touchdown. And when Kerryon Johnson ran the ball in for the touchdown, it was kind of weird. So one of the refs was signaling touchdown at the bottom of the screen.
Right.
And then the ref that was coming in from the top of the screen was saying no. And it's not uncommon for refs to misconstrue, but like at the very end of the play where like they hadn't conferred yet, but like it had been like the play was done and like people were getting up and off the dog pile.
Yeah.
Like one ref was still saying no, it's a touchdown, and the other ref was saying no, it's not a touchdown. They reviewed it; it was absolutely a touchdown,
right? And
they gave it to him. But it's just from the get-go, I was like, it's weird that ref was so adamant that it wasn't a touchdown when it was clearly, and the camera angle that showed the touchdown was from that ref side that was saying it wasn't a touchdown.
It's just classic. Packer fans won't understand. They'll think it's just like us crying, but there's some conspiracy there.
There is a conspiracy, and I want to talk about the rest of the referee faux pas. So the next, there was quite a few throughout the game. We'll talk about 3 more. The first was the first hands to the face, and that was on a third down where they sacked Aaron Rodgers, and they were in field goal range, and the sack would have put them out of field goal range. But they called hands to the face.
It was on Flowers.
And
Flowers, who, let me quick say, has never once in his career had that penalty.
In his career?
In his career. The announcer said that. And he had 2. We'll get to the second one.
Yeah.
But he had 2 in like a 5-minute span.
It was wild. So that... In that situation, so they gave us, so it was an automatic first down, and then the Packers went on to score a touchdown.
Very next play.
It was the next play.
I think it was the very next play because Rodgers bombed it to Lazar, and it was a beautiful pass.
That touchdown that they got off of that penalty was actually also not a touchdown. And it was funny because all scoring plays are reviewed. That was called the scoring play, and if you look, and we can plug it in, the camera angle. But he has the ball, and his knee is clearly down, and the ball is at like.
Oh, and he's down at the 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I agree 100%. Yeah.
So it's
a load of bogus.
Wild. So that's 2. So then the next bogus penalty came. So at that point in time, the Lions were still up by, I think it was just a point or 2.
22-20.
It was 22-20. So they go and they start driving, and then Stafford throws a deep ball to Marvin Jones. And dude just slashes Marvin Jones right across the chest. And no pass interference. And Patricia didn't even challenge it, which I thought was kind of odd.
I don't get that. I don't understand why he wouldn't. Yeah. And I know statistically they've showed us some stats for how many times coaches have gotten that call, the offensive or the defensive pass interference. Right. It's very, very few.
Right.
And I think
even just
over it being overturned. Yeah. Right. But still, like someone upstairs, I feel like you're just better off just throwing the flag unless you wanted that timeout. But that one looked pretty obvious.
Well, and there was quite a bit of time left in the fourth quarter, so maybe he was thinking, I want to hold on on to it. They're not overturning
Maybe,
it.
but that was pretty obvious.
He probably thought that. So, because I think the Packers went on to put together like a 7 or 9 minute drive or something like that. Ridiculous. So on the last Packers drive, again, they called hands to the face to Trey Flowers on it was a third down.
3rd and 4. Incomplete in the end zone. There was a minute and 34 seconds left on the clock.
Field goal range, right?
No, they were in field goal range, but there was a minute and 34 seconds left.
They would have had enough.
They would have had plenty of time to at least make an effort to kick another game-winning field goal for the Lions. But that moved they moved him up, and it was a fresh new set of downs.
Was on fire.
I know.
5 field goals.
He's phenomenal.
Oh my god, just smooth.
So those are the penalties that you want to talk about. I want to talk about one more too, since we're on the roll of controversy here. So it was a 3rd and 4. The Lions were down in the Packer territory. And Stafford dropped it off. He dumped it off to Kerryon Johnson. Kerryon caught it, took 1, 2, 3 steps, and then he kind of just, as he was shifting the ball over, it popped out and it rolled out of bounds, right?
Yeah.
And they ruled it a completion and a first down. But then the Packers they challenged it, and the refs came back and reversed it. I'm sorry, but that was as clear as you can get for a catch, a reception, and 2 feet down.
For 2 or 3 years now, everybody's been like, who knows what a catch is anymore, and what the NFL has been telling us is you need to do a football move, and they're like, well, what's a football move? They're like, well, a football move could be a lot of things, but you'll definitely know it if there's been a third step.
Yeah.
A third step is a clear sign of a football move.
You could tell he made a move. He even switched it to his other hand, like he was ready to stiff arm. Everything was there, and he just dropped it, which doesn't happen often.
So I think that there's a bigger conspiracy going on here.
For sure.
And I don't even... as a Vikings fan, I've been on record as saying I think that the NFL is rigged and that the Packers are their golden baby and they want to do everything for them. I think that I don't even think this is the NFL. So there are rumors floating around that a large sum of money has been gambled on whichever game Clete Blakeman or whatever the referee on this referee Cruz's game. There's on every single game there's been a lot of money that has been bet on every single one of the refs games that he's been refereeing. Not only that, but one of the bets that was specific to this game was, does Kerryon Johnson get the first touchdown of the game? And I think that those odds were at like plus 600, which means if you bet $100, you'll win $600. And Kerryon Johnson scored the first touchdown of the game. And they were arguing, no, he didn't. No, he didn't. That one ref was saying, no, I swear to God, he didn't, even though he absolutely did. And so these are wild out there rumors that are pie in the sky, but come on.
You want to know my hot take?
Yeah.
Roger Goodell would sacrifice his firstborn son, any of his kids, for a Packers-Patriots Super Bowl tomorrow.
Oh man, absolutely.
He'd sacrifice his whole family if he could.
Absolutely.
The guy makes $40+ million a year. And you know what's insane. You know why I'm frustrated with the NFL and everybody? Again, Packer fans. Not just me, not just Viking fans. What's going on here is that, the NFL and the refs are going to apologize for it.
Yeah.
But no one cares. They don't care. Everything is going to move on. It's just like other world problems. Everybody just moves on. It's yesterday's news. But nothing ever will get done about it. And I know you can't be perfect with officiating. I know there's human error. But dude, there's some BS going on with these Green Bay Packers, man.
I know. It's real fishy. And I'm a big proponent of human error being a part of the game.
For sure.
That's why I like umpires in baseball. And, some balls that are close, you call them a strike or vice versa. Like, I get that get away with what you can get away with. But when it's things that are changing the outcomes of games, we have the technology for New York to be like, no, this is clearly what the play should be. And the argument against it is that it's going to slow the game down. Well, the dang referee has to jog 60 yards over to the stupid little tablet to try to take a look when there's a big jumbotron right there. B, all the TVs you want back in New York. It's just it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and that's the other problem too, is it still comes back down to a subjective decision at the end of the day. Someone in New York, it's what is it, Al Revion?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, Alberto.
Oh, whoever. But anyways, and after that, the NFL didn't have the balls to admit that the first one wasn't actually a penalty. They said that still stands.
Yeah.
The second one, they basically just kind of, it probably could have been called, but they kind of made it sound like it shouldn't have been. But, dude.
People are coming out and trying to blame Bakhtiari about it, and it's like, you know what? If I'm Bakhtiari, like, Sure, absolutely. I'm going to try to sell a penalty.
Yeah, right. No, for
that's
sure.
That's
played
part of the game.
Yeah, I played soccer growing up. The
exactly.
field fairies here are flopping all over.
It's not that the Packers are trying to pull penalties out of nowhere. It's that the refs are giving them penalties out of nowhere. That's the real issue.
Yeah, and you know what else? I mean, give Bakhtiari, or however you say his name, a freaking Oscar, man.
Absolutely.
Get him on I want him up on stage. I thought his neck broke.
Yeah, exactly.
Both times.
I don't know. I mean, Trey Flowers is a strong dude. He'll push you back, and so like his back arching, I think is legit. It's
you know what, dude?
If it walks like a duck and it talks like a duck, the NFL is rigged. All right, so I think we've spent enough time talking about that. I do want to get into the game because we do need to look forward to the Lions Vikings this coming Sunday in Motor City.
Yep.
And so let's talk about the Lions and how they played. I thought they played exceptionally well, especially with all of the odds that were facing. A, the Packers have a really good defense. B, the referees were in the Packers' pocket. So I think they played well for what they're doing.
Hang on a second. Do we really think that the Packers have a really good defense?
I think Mike Pettin has a good scheme.
Okay. I want you to backtrack and just say that they have a defense. Listen, the Packers are the biggest fakers at 5-1.
I agree.
They're fakers, dude.
And you know who else deserve? And again, we're getting away from the game, but I want to say that the Lions are one bad call.
Oh yeah.
And 2 plays away from being 5-0.
Oh, easily.
They are easily a 5-0 team.
The Lions are not pretending this year.
They are for real.
And I had a friend when they were playing the Chiefs, and he was rooting for the Lions just as an underdog team. I'm like, dude. Right. I'm like, no, you can't be doing that. Right. I'm like, any other year maybe, but this year there's something different brewing in Detroit. Yeah.
They're a very, very good team.
Right. And I think Matthew Stafford is just coming out with a vengeance this year. And his wife just overcame, brain tumor and all that. Yeah. So there's just a lot of fire in that team.
Exactly. I think they're very dangerous, and we talked about all of the bad calls that won against the Packers or that won against the Lions. I think if any one of those many plays goes, it just doesn't even one of those bad calls just doesn't happen.
Yeah,
I think the Lions win that game.
For sure.
So I think the one bad call, and they were like a play away in Kansas City, and they were a play away when they tied
Cardinals.
The Cardinals.
Yeah. Well, they were up in that game.
They were up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, one bad call and 2 plays away from being 5-0.
100%.
Which they are a very deadly team. So,
right.
So in Green Bay, they were in Lambeau Field, and they were marching the ball at will. They got into the red zone a lot. They scored on their first trip to the red zone.
Right.
With that run to Kerryon Johnson, and they got close enough for Prater to kick 5 more field goals. Prater was just on fire.
Yeah, but that's just it. I mean, you can't win a football game kicking 5 field goals, especially against the Packers and the refs.
True, but they would have been scoring touchdowns if the refs were throwing flags every other play.
That's fair.
So let's talk about the performance. So Matthew Stafford, 18 for 32, 243, didn't throw a touchdown. The whole team only had 1 touchdown. That was on the Kerryon Johnson. But they were I thought for 18 yards or 18 completions, 243 yards, they were very efficient. They threw that flea flicker right out of the game. They were not afraid to air it out.
I really like the way that they started. It just kind of showed an aggressive mindset, and they started off with a bang there.
Yeah. So Kerryon Johnson, he ran 13 times for 34 yards. I think he's a better running back than that. I'm not sure why it seems like just based on looking at the box score, they abandoned the run. It didn't seem that way in the game, but looking at the box score, they only had 13 attempts to carry on Johnson.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what happened there. I think I do remember seeing a lot of swing passes, a lot of screens, so maybe they were trying to use that to supplement the run game. But yeah, they were not very effective running the ball.
Yeah. I just think the Lions really squandered opportunities to kind of put the game away. Because the Packers had 3 turnovers. They had a fumble and then a couple interceptions, and Lions, man, I was really rooting for you guys on Monday there.
I agree with that. Their receiving game in their receiving core, they're pretty efficient. So they had 5. So Galladay himself had 9 targets, only 5 receptions on those 9 targets, but he had 121 yards. Marvin Hall, not Marvin Jones. Marvin Hall had 1 reception for 58 yards. That must have been that long bomb. TJ Hawkinson, their tight end.
I want to talk about TJ quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm a big fan of this guy. Out of Iowa?
Yeah.
They had 2 out of Iowa.
Yeah.
They had Hawkins and who's the other guy? Ring my bell here. Help me. It's happening again.
I'm looking at I don't think he caught a ball at that.
Well, he's not on the Lions, but he was drafted by another team. Oh, by Denver.
Oh, yeah.
Noah Fant, I think.
Yeah.
So they had 2 phenomenal tight ends come out of Iowa.
did.
But T.J. Hawkinson has been phenomenal. He's a deep threat.
Yeah,
he's a very good player.
He's a big guy.
Yeah, and
he's fast.
Yeah, he's very fast and he can catch the ball.
Very similar to Irv Smith.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
He's definitely somebody to watch out for. And Stafford targeted him 6 times, and he connected on 4 of those.
Yeah, exactly.
So we talk about Jerry Stripe being Mr. Third Down. I think he's their Mr. Third Down
For sure.
and he's reliable, and he's got decent hands. So their receiving game is going to be a threat between Holiday, Hawkinson, Marvin Jones, Danny Amendola. They have some weapons in the receiving core. So I think that if the Vikings are going to win, we're definitely going to have to be able to stick on these guys like glue.
Right.
If we have good coverage, I don't think their offensive line is good enough to hold up and buy Stafford some time. I think that he was sacked 3 times that game, and the Packers defense is all right. I think the secondary is probably a little bit better than the pass rush. They have a decent pass rush, but they got home on Stafford 3 times. And I think those were all covered sacks. I don't think Stafford was able to get the ball away. So that's going to be one of our key successes, staying on our guys, trying to make Stafford extend the play and getting home to them. Yeah.
So I'm going to say from the defensive side of things, I think, they had 170 yards on the ground there between Williams and Jones. And then I guess Rodgers and Valdez-Scantling had 10 yards as well. But I think
the Packers.
The Packers. Yeah. I'm saying, the Detroit run game. I'm going to say for this game, kind of dipping our toes into the Vikings-Lions matchup here, I think we're going to be running the ball heavily on Sunday. I'm not saying we're not going to be passing the ball, but I think this is going to be heavy run focused.
Absolutely. And I think we're going to see a lot more of Dalvin Cook.
Yeah.
Last week it was kind of balanced, but that was because the Eagles are so stout up the middle.
Well, no, and their secondary is just poor. So we had to attack.
Right.
We had to attack the air.
Right.
They 2 backup cornerbacks. So
right.
Yeah.
I think we're going to be going to the outside. They have Snacks Harrison.
Yeah. Yep.
And so
Flowers on the outside too.
Flowers on the outside.
Yeah.
So I think we'll be running Dalvin Cook to the outside away from Flowers.
Right.
A bit.
Yeah.
I think even if we run him to Flowers, I think he's fast enough to just kind of run away.
For sure. Yeah. And I think this is going to be another game. I think most of our games, how we play, determine how we can execute the play action.
Yeah.
In just my opinion, from an offensive standpoint, if the play action isn't rolling, I'm kind of more like.
Is Riley Reiff? Is he? I don't think he participated in practice yesterday.
I don't know. I know he hurt. I know he was hurt a little bit last week during the game. Early on, I thought he went out. He went out pretty early.
He was out early,
but then he came back,
and then he left again.
Oh, then he left again. Okay,
He left again. So Rashad Hill, actually, I thought he played phenomenal.
Well, and we've got 2 backups. We got not Brian Dozier. No, Dozier. Dakota Dozier. Dakota Dozier, and then Rashad Hill. Yeah, and they both played pretty well last week.
Right. I think so too. I'd actually, to be honest, I'd rather see Rashad Hill than Riley Reiff. I think he's better.
Riley Reiff just reminds me a bit of like a Matt Khalil.
Oh, dude.
Where you just don't like to see the guy out there.
No, you don't.
He can, for a couple plays, he'll put up a block, if it's a shotgun so they can't get to the quarterback. But yeah, I'm not a fan of Riley Reiff at all.
Yeah, and he's always drawing penalties.
Yeah.
And it's getting to the point where I think that we're on our last leg with Riley.
Right. Yeah.
At least I hope so.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, so the Detroit Lions they showed weakness in the running game. They allowed the Packers to run for 170 yards. Aaron Rodgers threw for 283 yards on 24 receptions. So they were pretty efficient there. And Aaron Rodgers was able to throw the ball. If you look at his long balls, Alvin Lazard had a 35, Valdez-Scantling had a 46, Mercedes Lewis had a 25-yard catch. I think we'll be. I hope we see Eric Kirk again this week because I think that their defense is light enough for us to exploit it.
Yeah,
I saw something interesting today. It was an article. It might have been on NFL.com. It said, this Detroit defense reminds me a lot of Matt Patricia's defense when he was with the Patriots, where they're pretty good, but they're not really good enough to win the game for you. It's going to be the offense that has to win the game for you, but they'll do just fine. So I don't think that they're a stellar defense by any stretch of the imagination, which is weird because Patricia's a defensive guy.
Right.
And I would just expect to see more. If I'm hiring my head coach as a defensive guy like we have in Zimmer, I'd expect a defense that has efficiency like Zimmer's defense. I think I think the only way you hire a head coach that's defensive minded is if he can get you a top 10 defense in the league and be consistent with that. So we'll see how that goes. I know this is their first year. They had Jim Bob Cooter last year as their offensive coordinator. Who's their offensive coordinator this year? Do you know? I don't know. But it's their first year in that system, and it seems like he's letting Stafford air it out a little bit more.
Yeah.
So I think that is helping them stay competitive in these games. I think that they have a better offensive scheme than they have in other years. But yeah, the Detroit, I think their defense is soft enough for us to exploit. And I think that their offense their offense is good, but I think our defense will be able to rise to the challenge.
Yeah, that's pretty much a good take there. Overall, just for me, I'm looking to just get Cook the ball.
Yeah,
Cook and Madison is what I'm looking for, and I'm just dying to get more Irv Smith involved.
Yeah,
I hate that I just see him like sprinkled in once in the second half is kind of all we've been seeing the last couple weeks.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that 2 weeks ago, Adam Thielen had a game. Last week, Stephon Diggs had a game, so they're going to try to figure out.
Thielen still had a game last week.
Thielen had a game, but Stephon was the highlight of the week.
Sure,
he was the highlight receiver of the week. So I think Patricia's kind of scratching his head, saying, "All right, how do I cover both of these guys?"
And Cook.
Hold on. So I'll get there. So he's going to say, "How do I cover Thielen and Diggs?" And I think it's going to be a lot of man coverage with some safety help over the top. And trying to say, all right, hey, you guys each take one of these, So basically, let's have both these guys double team. What that's going to do is that's going to open up opportunities for Irv Smith, Kyle Rudolph, Dalvin Cook, and I think we'll see a lot more of those guys being featured this week because Stephon and Adam are going to be dealing with double coverage all day.
Yeah, definitely. Who's your breakout player for this week?
Oh man, I don't know. I just hope our secondary rises to the task. I could pick anybody in our secondary. Trey Waynes, we talked about him. Xavier Rhodes is definitely going to have.
He's been quiet this year.
He's been quiet.
I literally haven't heard him once.
But maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that just means that they're not throwing.
You want to know who's been quiet this year? Quietly dominating. Danielle Hunter. Dude, he's the first player at the age of 25. He has got the most sacks at the age of 25.
That's wild. He is.
Hey, did you see that anywhere in the news?
No.
No one gives a rat's butt.
Because guess what? The NFL doesn't like the Minnesota Marshals.
Exactly. Yeah.
Give me the Patriots. Give me whatever New York team is.
Well, what I'm saying that's an admiral. Can't even say that word. Admiral job from Hunter.
Yeah,
quietly
absolutely.
Putting up that many sacks at the age of 25 is just insane. Yeah,
he's vicious.
Right,
too.
Right.
I hope he continues on this trajectory and just becomes just the best defensive end the NFL's ever seen.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I think So that is one thing. I think our front seven is going to have their way with the Lions' offensive line. I just don't think that the Lions' offensive line is good enough to stand up to our rush. Again, I think that their wide receiving core is phenomenal, and I think Stafford is an exceptional passer. Our secondary is going to have to step up. Like I said, Trey Waynes, Xavier Rhodes is going to have a day, and Anthony Harris and Harrison Smith are going to have to do good things. And Mike Hughes, all those guys, they're going to have to step up because they have too many receiving options to not have our entire secondary just keyed in. And I want to say one thing. Anthony Harris, we picked him up, was it last year, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Was it just off the waiver wire?
I think so. Yeah, he kind of just sat, I think he sat behind Sandejo for a little bit.
Right. He did sit behind Sandejo, but I think we just picked him up in free agency. Or, somebody cut him and we just picked him up as a free agent. And I saw something today. Him and Harrison Smith are both rated in the top 10 of safeties in the league right now. So think about that. 2 years ago, somebody who had the capacity to be a top 10 safety was just sitting out there free agent. Nobody was picking him up.
But
Zimmer picks him up and turns him into a top 10 safety.
Well, I mean, you can't say that the potential is just sitting there. I think you got to give Zimmer way more credit.
I absolutely. That's exactly what I'm saying.
And pairing him with Harrison Smith and the rest of the team, kind of makes him better than maybe he could be.
I agree.
I'm not trying to like put you. I'm just trying to.
I agree. It's like you take Aaron Rodgers away from the Packers. I don't think their offense is as good as it is.
Not at all.
There are certain players that make the rest of your team better, and I think our team is doing that for Anthony Harris. But just to see that, I love that. Guys that were free agents that nobody wanted, we pick them up and we just make them.
Right.
That's exactly what Bill Belichick does.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, the culture in New England, that's what you build players off of.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I think our biggest key to success is if our secondary is able to be a lockdown secondary, and I think that's our key to success on defense. I think that no matter what our front seven is going to have our way with our offensive line. On offense, I think we're not going to be able to dish the ball to Thielen or Diggs like we have been, but that's just going to create so many opportunities. I could see a very diverse game plan from Kubiak and Stefanski. I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, definitely. For my takes, I've got Cook and Thielen having really good games. I've got Thielen having a 10-catch game, and then Cook going over for 100 yards.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Cook is going to have over 150 all-purpose yards. I think I say that every week.
Yeah, it's just a safe bet.
But it continues to happen. So I don't think it happened last week, but that's just because we were airing it out to Stefan.
Yeah.
So yeah. So that
score predictions.
Do
you have Vegas?
Let me pull that. Why don't you give me your score predictions? I'll pull up the Vegas.
Sure. Okay. So I do also have our predictions from earlier in the season.
I think we both have those.
We got these as wins, don't we? Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna go with a 24-14 win. And I'm just confident that we're going to be able to come in. I know the Lions are going to be frustrated with the refs, and they're coming with a vengeance, and they're going to be angry about the Packer game. But I think we're going to be able to easily handle them with the squad that we have. And right now, in my opinion, I just think the Vikings are firing on all cylinders, on all aspects.
Yeah.
On all aspects.
Look, I'm glad you brought that up because that is something that I'm worried about. I'm worried. You know how sometimes in a game where there's like a cheesy holding call or something that, will push the defense back or whatever, right when they made a good play, and it was kind of ticky-tacky, and then on the next play, there's kind of like a give-you-back penalty that they make on the other team to just kind of make up for that back call. I'm worried that the refs are going to have a soft spot for the Lions and say, all right, we understand we were bad to you last week, we're going to be good to you this week, and just continually call things against the Vikings all game. I worry that's because the narrative isn't the refs were helping out the Packers. The narrative is that the refs were screwing the Lions.
I don't agree.
You don't agree?
No. Packers weren't going to win that game. They needed all the help they could get.
Well, I 100% agree with you.
How else are we going to get the Packers to the frickin' Super Bowl?
No, I agree, but the media narrative...
There's 6th-string wide receivers are out there.
No. So, but the media narrative, it wasn't that they're helping the Packers. The media narrative, everything that we've been hearing this week, they acknowledge the bad calls by the refs, but it says it's all about I'm sorry Lions, not we were helping.
They're not going to word it that way.
Because if they word it that way, then everybody's saying the NFL's rigged.
Yeah, exactly. Which they're not going to say that.
All right, so you had 24-14 Vikings.
Yep.
So Paz is winning by 10. The line is Vikings by 2 in Detroit, so it's going to be a good game. I think that's a pretty good line. I think the Vikings are going to win 17-14.
Okay, you got a close one.
I think it's the scoreboard is going to be close. I think the Vikings will outplay them. I think that they'll just get away with a couple of deep balls where they just were able to beat Xavier Rhodes on and just get away with 2 touchdowns. But I think the Vikings are going to win the majority of the day. We're going to be the clear. We were playing better, and I think that's. I think that's how it's going to go. It's going to be. I think the scoreboard will be close, but I don't think the game will be close.
Yeah.
I do have one thing to say, Pat.
What's that?
I will not be here for our review game, or for our review podcast, rather. So I think you're going to have a guest?
Yes, I will. We'll stay tuned for next week.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just for our loyal listeners, you won't be getting to see my beautiful face next week. I will, again, I have been committed to something previously, but I will certainly be here when we preview the Week 8 game.
Against the Redskins.
And
can I quick say something?
Case Keenum's the starter again. Let's go.
Listen, man, if I don't get credit for what I said a little bit, even though I think Case is going to be there.
No. You said, and I quote, Case Keenum won't be playing in Minneapolis or something like that.
Yeah, I said he's not going to be there for that Thursday night game.
Yeah, you said he won't be there.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm still going to stand by that, and I was correct in saying that there was a bit of a QB carousel going on in Washington.
There's a bit of a coaching carousel going on.
And there was a QB one, too. So, half of me is right, but I think their best bet is to put Keenum in there in Minnesota because he's going to want to play with some fire.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's going to be there for sure.
Yeah, and I think that'll be a fun game. I don't think there'll be any bad blood or anything.
No.
It's just going to be a fun
game. He's
game.
going to get a standing ovation. That's going to be a warm start and then hopefully a brutal finish.
All right, so join Pat and Guest next time when they review us hopefully a Vikings win. And you'll see me in 2 episodes. So until then, Skol Vikings.
Thanks, guys.